Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. We're going to unpack that and take a look at it and see how did God fulfill all these promises? What were these promises? They had to do with a covenant that he made with the people of Israel concerning the land of Israel and allotments of land to each of the 12 tribes. Did that come to pass? Was that prophecy fulfilled? Was that covenant kept? Join us today as we unpack this and take a look at it historically, and we also look at it in light of what's happening today with the October 7th Gaza war. Welcome to the Daily Audio Torah. Today is April 20th. Now let's continue our journey reading through the entire Bible in 1 year. This week we are reading from the New Living Translation for the Old Testament and for the New Testament. Exodus 12:16-23. On the first day of the festival, and again on the 7th day, all the people must observe an official day for holy assembly. No work of any kind may be done on these days except in the preparation of food. Celebrate this festival of unleavened bread, for it will remind you that I brought your forces out of the land of Egypt on this very day. This festival will be a permanent law for you. Celebrate this day from generation to generation. The bread you eat must be made without yeast from the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day of that month. During those 7 days, there must be no trace of yeast in your homes. Anyone who eats anything made with yeast during this week will be cut off from the community of Israel. These regulations apply both to the foreigners living among you and to the native-born Israelites. During those days, you must not eat anything made with yeast. Wherever you live, eat only bread made without yeast. Then Moses called all the elders of Israel together and said to them, Go, pick out a lamb or young goat for each of your families and slaughter the Passover animal. Drain the blood into a basin. Then take a bundle of hyssop branches and dip it into the blood. Brush the hyssop across the top and sides of the door frames of your houses, and no one may go out through the door until morning. For the Lord will pass through the land to strike down the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on the top and sides of the door frame, the Lord will pass over your home. He will not permit his death angel to enter your house and strike you down. Joshua 21:1-22:20. Then the leaders of the tribe of Levi came to consult with Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the other tribes of Israel. They came to them at Shiloh in the land of Canaan and said, The Lord commanded Moses to give us towns to live in and pasture lands for our livestock. So by the command of the Lord, the people of Israel gave the Levites the following towns and pasture lands out of their own grants of land. The descendants of Aaron, who were members of the Kohathite clan within the tribe of Levi, were allotted 13 towns that were originally assigned to the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The other families of the Kohathite clan were allotted 10 towns from the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The clan of Gershon was allotted 13 towns from the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The clan of Merari was allotted 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites obeyed the Lord's command to Moses and assigned these towns and pasture lands to the Levites by casting sacred lots. The Israelites gave the following towns from the tribes of Judah and Simeon to the descendants of Aaron, who were members of the Kohathite clan within the tribe of Levi, since the sacred lot fell to them first. Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, along with its surrounding pasture lands. Arba was an ancestor of Anak. But the open fields beyond the town and the surrounding villages were given to Caleb, son of Jephunneh, as his possession. The following towns with their pasture lands were given to the descendants of Aaron the priest: Hebron, a city of refuge for those who accidentally killed someone; Libnah, Jattir, Eshtemoa, Holon, Debir, Ain, Juttah, and Beth Shemesh, 9 towns from these 2 tribes. From the tribe of Benjamin, the priests were given the following towns with their pasture lands: Gibeon, Geba, Anathoth, and Almon, 4 towns. So in all, 13 towns with their pasture lands were given to the priests, the descendants of Aaron. The rest of the Kohathite clan from the tribe of Levi was allotted the following towns and pasture lands from the tribe of Ephraim: Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, a city for refuge for those who accidentally killed someone; Gezer, Kibzaim, and Beth Horon, 4 towns. The following towns and pasture lands were allotted to the priests from the tribe of Dan: Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Aijalon, and Gath-Rimmon, 4 towns. The half-tribe of Manasseh allotted the following towns with their pasture lands to the priests: Tanakh and Gath-Rimmon, 2 towns. So in all, 10 towns with their pasture lands were given to the rest of the Kohathite clan. The descendants of Gershon, another clan within the tribe of Levi, received the following towns with their pasture lands from the half-tribe of Manasseh: Golan in Bashan, a city of refuge for those who accidentally killed someone, and Besh Terah, 2 towns. From the tribe of Issachar, they received the following towns with their pasture lands: Kishion, Daberath, Jarmuth, and En-Ganim, 4 towns. From the tribe of Asher, they received the following towns with their pasture lands: Mishal, Abaddon, Helkath, and Rehob, 4 towns. From the tribe of Naphtali, they received the following towns with their pasture lands: Kedesh in Galilee, a city of refuge for those who accidentally killed someone; Hamath, Dor, and Kartan, 3 towns. So in all, 13 towns with their pasture lands were allotted to the clan of Gershon. The rest of the Levites, the Merari clan, were given the following towns with their pasture lands from the tribe of Zebulun: Jokneam, Kartah, Dimnah, and Nahalal, 4 towns. From the tribe of Reuben, they received the following towns with their pasture lands: Bezer, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mephath, 4 towns. From the tribe of Gad, they received the following towns with their pasture lands: Ramoth in Gilead, a city of refuge for those who accidentally killed someone; Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, 4 towns. So in all, 12 towns were allotted to the clan of Merari. The total number of towns and pasture lands within Israelite territory given to the Levites came to 48. Every one of these towns had pasture land surrounding it. So the Lord gave to Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had solemnly promised their ancestors. None of their enemies could stand against them, for the Lord helped them conquer all their enemies. Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. Then Joshua called together the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. He told them, "You have done as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and you have obeyed every order I have given you. During all this time you have not deserted the other tribes. You have been careful to obey the commands of the Lord your God right up to the present day. And now the Lord your God has given the other tribes rest as he promised them. So go back home to the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you as your possession on the east side of the Jordan River. But be very careful to obey all the commands and the instructions that Moses gave to you. Love the Lord your God, walk in all his ways, obey his commands, hold firmly to him, and serve him with all your heart and soul." So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went home. Moses had given the land of Bashan, east of the Jordan River, to the half-tribe of Manasseh. The other half of the tribe was given land west of the Jordan. As Joshua sent them away and blessed them, he said to them, "Go back to your homes with the great wealth you have taken from your enemies, the vast herds of livestock, the silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and the large supply of clothing. Share the plunder with your relatives." So the men of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the rest of Israel at Shiloh in the land of Canaan. They started the journey back to their own land of Gilead, the territory that belonged to them according to the Lord's command through Moses. But while they were still in Canaan, and when they came to a place called Gilead near the Jordan River, the men of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh stopped to build a large and imposing altar. The rest of Israel heard that the people of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had built an altar at Gilead at the edge of the land of Canaan on the west side of the Jordan River. So the whole community of Israel gathered at Shiloh and prepared to go to war against them. First, however, they sent a delegation led by Phineas, son of Eleazar, the priest, to talk with the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. In this delegation were 10 leaders of Israel, one from each of the 10 tribes, and each the head of his family within the clans of Israel. When they arrived in the land of Gilead, they said to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, "The whole community of the Lord demands to know why you are betraying the God of Israel. How could you turn away from the Lord and build an altar for yourselves in rebellion against him? Was our sin at Peor not enough? To this day we are not fully cleansed of it, even after the plague that struck the entire community of the Lord. And yet today you are turning away from following the Lord. If you rebel against the Lord today, he will be angry with all of us tomorrow. If you need the altar because the land you possess is defiled, then join us in the Lord's land, where the tabernacle of the Lord is situated, and share our land with us, but do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building an altar other than the one true altar of the Lord our God. Didn't divine anger fall on the entire community of Israel when Achan, a member of the clan of Zerah, sinned by stealing the things set apart for the Lord? He was not the only one who died because of his sin. Luke 20:1-26. One day, as Jesus was teaching the people and preaching the good news in the temple, the leading priests, the teachers of religious law, and the elders came up to him. They demanded, "By what authority are you doing all these things? Who gave you the right?" "Let me ask you a question first," he replied. "Did John's authority to baptize come from heaven, or was it merely human?" They talked it over among themselves. "If we say it was from heaven, he will ask why we didn't believe John. But if we say it was merely human, the people will stone us because they are convinced John was a prophet." So they finally replied that they didn't know. And Jesus responded, "Then I won't tell you by what authority I do these things." Now Jesus turned to the people again and told them this story. A man planted a vineyard, leased it to tenant farmers, and moved to another country to live for several years. At the time of the grape harvest, he sent one of his servants to collect his share of the crop. But the farmers attacked the servant, beat him up, and sent him back empty-handed. So the owner sent another servant, but they also insulted him, beat him up, and sent him away empty-handed. A third man was sent, and they wounded him and chased him away. "What will I do?" the owner asked himself. "I know. I'll send my cherished son. Surely they will respect him." But when the tenant farmers saw his son, they said to each other, "Here comes the heir to this estate. Let's kill him and get the estate for ourselves." So they dragged him out of the vineyard and murdered him. "What do you suppose the owner of the vineyard will do to them?" Jesus asked. "I'll tell you. He will come and kill those farmers and lease the vineyard to others." "How terrible that such a thing should ever happen," his listeners protested. Jesus looked at them and said, "Then what does this scripture mean? The stone that the builders rejected has now become the cornerstone." Everyone who stumbles over that stone will be broken to pieces, and it will crush anyone it falls on." The teachers of religious law and the leading priests wanted to arrest Jesus immediately because they realized he was telling the story against them. They were the wicked farmers, but they were afraid of the people's reaction. Watching for their opportunity, the leaders sent spies pretending to be honest men. They tried to get Jesus to say something that could be reported to the Roman governor so he would arrest Jesus. "Teacher," they said, "we know that you speak and teach what is right and are not influenced by what others think. You teach the way of God truthfully. Now tell us, is it right for us to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" He saw through their trickery and said, "Show me a Roman coin. Whose picture and title are stamped on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. "Well then," he said, "give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God." So they failed to trap him by what he said in front of the people. Instead, they were amazed by his answer, and they became silent. Psalm 89, 1-13. I will sing of the Lord's unfailing love forever. Young and old will hear of your faithfulness. Your unfailing love will last forever. Your faithfulness is as enduring as the heavens. The Lord said, I have made a covenant with David, my chosen servant. I have sworn this oath to him. I will establish your descendants as kings forever. They will sit on your throne from now until eternity. All heaven will praise your great wonders, Lord. Myriads of angels will praise you for your faithfulness. For who in all of heaven can compare with the Lord? What mightiest angel is anything like the Lord? The highest angelic powers stand in awe of God. He is far more awesome than all who surround his throne. O Lord God of heaven's armies, where is there anyone as mighty as you, O Lord? You are entirely faithful. You rule the oceans. You subdue their storm-tossed waves. You crushed the great sea monster. You scattered your enemies with your mighty arm. The heavens are yours, and the earth is yours. Everything in the world is yours. You created it all. You created north and south. Mount Tabor and Mount Hermon praise your name. Powerful is your arm, strong is your hand. Your right hand is lifted high in glorious strength. Proverbs 13:15-16. A person with good sense is respected. A treacherous person is headed for destruction. Wise people think before they act. Fools don't, and even brag about their foolishness. I want to speak to you today from Joshua chapter 21 and 22. And there are two real wonderful gems that I want to unpack and dig out and shine it in the light. So in Joshua 21, verse 45, it says, Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. However, there's a bit of a caveat. The caveat comes in the next chapter, in chapter 22, verse 5. But I'll back up to verse 4. And now the Lord your God has given the other tribes rest as he promised them, so go back home to the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you as your possession on the east side of the Jordan River. Verse 5. But be very careful to obey all the commands and the instructions that Moses gave to you. Love the Lord your God, walk in all his ways, obey his commands, hold firmly to him, and serve him with all your heart and all your soul. So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went home. So this is concerning the promise of land to be given to the 12 tribes of Israel. And all of the good promises that the Lord had given to the family was left None of the promises were left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. So let's unpack this a little bit further. I want to look at particularly Gaza, because Gaza right now is very much in the news. There's been a hot war going on there since October the 7th of 2023, and they're getting ready to conclude this war to completely demolish and destroy Hamas. And then the big question becomes, so what happens the day after the war is over? What next? Let's look and see. It goes all the way back to the book of Joshua. What God said way back then concerning Gaza. So in Joshua chapter 13, starting in verse 1, it says, When Joshua was an old man, the Lord said to him, You are growing old, and much land remains to be conquered. This is the territory that remains, all the regions of the Philistines and the Geshurites, and the larger territory of the Canaanites, extending from the stream of Shihor on the border of Egypt northward to the boundary of Ekron. It includes the territory of the 5 Philistine rulers of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. So this defines for us that Gaza once was ruled by a Philistine king, and God is giving instructions to Joshua that it's time now to go and to conquer that land. That's in Joshua chapter 13, verse 3. Now we're going to jump forward into Joshua chapter 15. And this is laying out for us and describing in great detail the territory or the land, the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah. So in Joshua chapter 15, starting in verse 20, this was the inheritance of the tribe of the children of Judah according to their families. And then it goes on through many verses saying which villages and which towns belong to the to the tribe of Judah. And when you jump down to I'll start in verse 46, but verse 47 is really the capstone. From Ekron to the sea, all that lay near Ashdod with their villages. This is outlining the inheritance of Judah. Verse 47, Ashdod with its towns and villages, Gaza with its towns and villages, as far as the brook of Egypt and the great sea with its coastline. So here in Joshua chapter 15, verse 47, Gaza is one of the towns that has been designated as being given to the tribe of Judah as their inheritance. Okay, so Gaza was given to Judah way back then in the time of Joshua to the tribe of Judah. Now we come back to Joshua chapter 21, verse 45. Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. All the land was portioned out according to what he said he would do to all 12 tribes, Gaza included. So Gaza really does belong to the nation and people of Israel by covenant from God. But we come back to the caveat in chapter 22. But be very careful to obey all the commands and the instructions that Moses gave to you. Love the Lord your God, walk in all his ways, obey his commands, hold firmly to him, and serve him with all your heart and all your soul. Now, in the big picture, at the 40,000 view looking down over centuries of time, Israel as a nation and a people does turn away from God and from his ways and from his word. And so because they turn away and they break covenant with him and they chase after false gods, foreign gods, they basically commit adultery, spiritual adultery against him. God says, I'm going to scatter you. So in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 33, and I will scatter you among the heathen and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities will be laid waste. And in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 27. Again, this is repeated. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Lord shall lead you. And again in Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter you among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. So this is exactly what happened. First, it happened in 586 BC when Nebuchadnezzar came with his army and they destroyed the temple of Jerusalem and burned it and took it all the way down and took captive the Israelites, the children of Israel, and they were taken off to Babylon, where they were in captivity and in exile for 70 years. And then a remnant returns with Nehemiah and Ezra. But then again, in 70 AD, under the Roman Empire, the Second Temple was breached and then burned down, and the Romans conquered Jerusalem, and all Jews were evicted. They were either killed or they were evicted and had to leave, and they were not allowed to return on pain of death. So this word came to pass. It was fulfilled. The Jewish people were scattered to all the nations of the earth, and for many, many, many centuries, they did not have a place in the land of Israel. And they were scattered all throughout Europe and America and throughout the world. But God also promises that He's going to gather His people once again. And this is spoken of in Ezekiel chapter 36, but also in many, many other places. This is just one of many other passages where God says He's going to gather His people, Israel, and bring them back to the land. And it's a miracle. So in Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 23, and I will sanctify my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, which you have profaned in their midst, and the nations shall know that I am the Lord, says the Lord God, when I am hallowed in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the nations, gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land. He goes on to say, I will sprinkle clean water on you. You shall be clean. I will cleanse you from all your filthiness and from all your idols, and I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take out the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. So he's promising here and in many, many other places that he's going to regather the people of Israel, the children of Israel, the Jewish people, and bring them back to the land of Israel. And in May of 1948, this amazingly, astoundingly happened. And the nation of Israel was born in one day. And within 24 hours, the Arab neighbors around her were at war with her. And against all odds, she fought for her existence and she won that war. But it's not been easy. So God made promises of covenant about the land. He kept his word. He scattered the Jewish people to all the nations of the earth because of their unfaithfulness, and yet he has ingathered them and brought them back to the land after centuries of being dispossessed from the land. So this is truly prophecy unfolding before our very eyes. And it is a miracle that the nation has been reborn and that the Jewish people have returned. And in fact, in the year 2024, it was one of the largest years for Jews to make Aliyah and to return to the land of Israel. I think it was like 28,000 Jews made Aliyah. So in record numbers, they are still returning, and they're returning to a nation that is at war. So even under those adverse conditions, Jews are returning. And actually, the safest place on earth for a Jewish person to be is in the land of Israel. Because in so many other places, extreme vitriolic Jew hatred and anti Semitism has sprung up. and Jews have been subject to and targeted with acts of violence and sabotage and vandalism. And so, really, the safest place to be if you are Jewish is to be in the land of Israel. Okay, that's all I have for today. Have a blessed day, and we will see you tomorrow. Shalom.
Yevrekka Adonai Vish Mereka Yair Adonai Panavilaka Vikuneka Isa Adonai Panav Ileka Vayasem Leka Leka Shalom.
The Aaronic blessing from Numbers chapter 6, 24 to 26. Adonai bless you and keep you. Adonai make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Adonai lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.